Hey guys, it's Joey here with DKOldies. I thought we could take a few minutes and talk about Goldeneye. Goldeneye is one of my favorite games of all time. I spent hours and hours when I was younger playing it, and specifically the multiplayer. I remember three other friends. We were all huddled around the screen yelling at each other, "Stop looking at my screen!" Um, Absolutely fantastic game. I loved every bit of it. But I just came across an article that had some really cool facts about GoldenEye that I didn't know. I thought I could share some of them with you guys here today. So evidently, GoldenEye was developed by only 9 people, 8 of whom had never even worked on a game before. And I guess since they were kind of new to the process, didn't know all the ins and outs, it allowed them to try some really innovative things. I thought that was kind of neat. Also, the main designer behind Nintendo games, Shigeru Miyamoto, wasn't wild about all the action and violence that was packed into the game. So he actually had the idea that at the end of the game, you would visit a hospital and shake hands with all the enemies, showing that in fact you didn't really kill them. Well, the team didn't actually go that route, but what they did do was have like a credits sequence roll, like at the end of a movie. And it introduced all the characters, even like the generic characters, a Russian soldier or a scientist. And it kind of made you think of them as actors, so like they weren't really dying. Oh, that was kind of crazy too. Also, the multiplayer mode that I was talking about that I loved so much was really just thrown together in a month. One of the developers there who was working on it was afraid that the higher-ups might not feel that that particular part of the game would be worth him spending so much time on. So he really quick threw it together, and the first time anybody actually got to see that portion of the game was once the game was already finished. So by that point, the game was already past its deadline. They decided, look, let's just leave it in. I think that was one of the best choices they could have made. Oh my gosh, and here's one of the neatest parts about it. So the developers wanted you, when you would be reloading your gun on the N64 controller, to take the rumble pack and take it out and reinsert it. That would be the process of loading your gun, kind of like simulating like really loading a gun. Really kind of innovative idea, kind of out there. Ultimately, Nintendo decided not to go that route because the rumble pack wasn't really built to stand up to that kind of use. But again, way ahead of its time. Another cool thing, the watch. Remember when you press the pause menu? James Bond's watch that you can bring up actually tells time. Even when the game is paused, you can actually see what time it is on. I thought that was kind of neat too. And finally, there was even a version of GoldenEye that was planned for the Virtual Boy. Since the Virtual Boy didn't do really great, I think that project was canceled. But that was another thing I hadn't known. And originally, the game, I think they were working on it back in '94. The Super Nintendo was still the current system. So originally, the idea was the game would be put onto the Super Nintendo, and like all their other 16-bit games, it was going to be a 2D platforming game. Probably would have been cool, but then the developers, they got an eye on Super Mario 64. They got to see how that was performing and realized that the other type of method was soon going to be obsolete, and they took GoldenEye in a whole new direction. So that's it, guys. Just a few crazy facts that I just found out about one of my favorite games of all time. Let me know in the comments. Did you guys play GoldenEye? Do you love it as much as I do? What kind of memories do you have of playing with it? All right, guys. Thanks, everybody, for tuning into this. See you next time.